Our topic is removing free lunch market, China's IPO registration reform. Let's start with IPO. IPO, initial public offering, is the process by which a private company goes public by sales of its stocks to general public. IPO is the most common method of listing. Most of the companies were listed through IPO, such as Apple, Tesla. IPO is an important financing channel for companies. There are two markets you have to know. First, primary market, also known as issue market, is the market for investors to subscribe for newly issued stock. In other words, primary market is where firms sell new stock and bonds to the public for the first time. The issue price of the stock is determined by the issuer. Another market is secondary market, also known as circulation market. In this market, investors can trade the issued stock, which they already own. Existing stocks circulate among investors within this market. Stock price is determined by market, so that the stock price changes from time to time. This diagram demonstrates the relation among IPO, primary market, and secondary market. With the IPO, the stock of a private company can be subscribed in primary market. After listing, the stocks are traded in the secondary market. There is a phenomenon that the issuer set the issue price in the primary market lower than the price in the secondary market. Underpricing is the practice of listing an IPO at a price below its real value in the secondary market. If the IPO underpricing exists, the market is inefficient. Inefficiency of market means that there is existence of free lunch. Let's imagine investors buy the stock at a lower price in primary market and sell the stock at a higher price in secondary market. There is low risk but positive payoff. This is inefficiency of market. What are the reasons behind IPO underpricing? There are four possible reasons. First, the issuers may intentionally underprice to attract investors. Second, the issuers may underestimate the company value. Third, compensates the risk due to the lack of information. Issuers always have more information than investors. Therefore, investors require a discount. Fourth, investor sentiment in secondary market drives the stock price too high. Although the issue price in primary market is the real value of the company, the IPO underpricing still exists due to the overbought in secondary market.
There are two systems of IPO insurance, which are approval-based and registration-based. Approval-based is government-guided. They will check whether the firm meets the listing criterion and has investment value. If so, they will approve the IPO. You may simply understand it as the government receives firms' information and approves the firms that the government believing they are good. However, it may not good in investors' aspect, and this system has a strong government intervention. Registration-based is market-guided. Government's role is only to confirm the firm meets the regulations and disclose all its true information to the public. You may simply understand it as the market receives firms' information and investment banks and investors determine which firms are good. This system has a little government intervention. There are several pros and cons with these systems. Let's talk the advantages of approval-based system first. The approved firms are profitable in the future, as it is the main indicator for government to filter out the firms. Second, it has better investor protection, as the firms with speculative behaviors will be filtered. For disadvantage, the government may misjudge some firms with great potential, as some potential firms may not have profitability in short term, and they may not succeed to have IPO. Second, the stock will be mispriced. Price of stock is higher than true value because the government may approve too less IPO to the market. Imagine there is only one stock in the market and 10 people want it. The price of the stock will be incredibly high. Let's talk registered-based system case. The first advantage is application procedures are simpler, which helps in reducing cost. Second, the firms with high potential but low profitability can still succeed in IPO. Third, price of stock is closer to true value as there is more supply of stock. Of course, there are still disadvantages for this system. First, investors should bear the risk, as the firm may close down in the near future or the firm is not a good firm. Second, less market stability, as stock price of problematic company may fluctuate. For simplicity, the main difference between these systems is whether the firm will be banded by profitability indicator. The former will band with low profitability, but latter will not. In China, it used to implement approval-based system. Therefore, IPO underpricing was extremely serious. In some years, it could be over 100%, while in a major market like USA was average 15%. We mentioned before that a high IPO underpricing means the market is inefficient. So China has been reforming to registration system from 2019 to transform to a more efficient market. Next, my groupmate Frank will evaluate the policy's performance.
We have already introduced the background of China's IPO registration reform. So, what is the result? Now, let's see the data. We have collected the data of recent 4 years. 2017 and 18 are pre-reform years, while 2019 and 2020 are post-reform years. We can see that due to the registration reform, the number of IPOs that are rejected by reason of continued profitability has decreased a lot since 2019. This shows that the reform has been indeed implemented. The IPO process has been freer. However, quite interestingly, IPO underpricing problem is still severe year by year. Even in 2020, the average IPO underpricing rate is over 170%, which is much higher than the standard in mature markets. To conclude, the reform indeed has increased IPO market freedom. Due to more freedom, the number of IPO applications has been boosted a lot. However, the market is still inefficient. The reform did not provide an effective solution to IPO underpricing problem. Now, you may wonder, why the reform failed to solve it? It comes to an important question. Is IPO approval process everything? The answer must be no. We have two possible explanations. Firstly, there is an agency problem in China's primary market. There is a lack of credible investment bank in China. In China, the local brokers, Kunshan, play the role of ibanks, and foreign ibanks are generally excluded. However, most of the local brokers do not have sufficient reputation compared with the foreign ibanks, such as JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs. Due to lack of credibility, the local brokers fail to signal the market, and their certification function is limited. As a result, investors may lack confidence, thus require a discount, which leads to IPO underpricing problem. Secondly, there is a speculation problem in China's secondary market. We have observed a widespread overbought phenomenon in China's stock market, which causes imbalanced supply-demand relationship on the new stocks. A direct evidence could be the price premium compared to Hong Kong's market. Even for a single company, its stock price in China's market is generally higher than that in Hong Kong's market. What's more, there is also a price ramping phenomenon, that is 炒心股现象, in China's secondary market. This kind of speculation may drive up the stock price and make it deviate from true value. This could also lead to IPO underprice problem. For policy recommendation, we have two possible solutions. Firstly, to solve the agency problem, we suggest to develop ibank system. The government can implement joint liability system, 连带责任制度, which punishes the relevant brokers if the company performed too bad after IPO. This can drive the local brokers to work more professionally and filter out the bad agency. Besides, we suggest to merge the local brokers and to establish some leading local investment banks. This can build up the credibility of the agency. What's more, we propose to relax the restrictions on foreign iBank participation. That is, allowing foreign agencies to undertake IPO sponsorship business. This can bring more competition to the local brokers and urge them to improve. Secondly, for the secondary market, we suggest to implement some policies to restrict speculation. The government can impose heavy taxation on short-term stock trading. This can raise the speculation cost. Besides, we also propose to impose tax reduction on long-term traders. This can encourage investors to do value investment rather than short-term speculation. What's more, we recommend to implement lock-up period, that is, to prohibit new stock subscribers from selling excess percentage of the holding shares within a certain period. For example, only allowing them to sell at most 25% of the holding shares in each 3 months. This can reduce arbitrage opportunity, thus restrict secondary market speculation. To summarize, according to our analysis, China's registration reform failed to solve stock market inefficiency problem. The reason is that it only concentrates on IPO approval process, but has not considered the problem in both primary market and secondary market. We propose to conduct a wider and deeper reform.